Where are we? Are we on? I know it says live here, but are we actually on live? Yep, looks like we're live now. So, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on when you're watching this. Welcome back to JP WHU TV live on YouTube and Periscope, and so therefore we'll be feeding into Twitter. My name is John, your host, as always, and making his fifth appearance on JPWHU TV. So he's actually made more appearances than Yarmolenko this season. Is AJ from Kiwi Hammers. AJ, how you doing, son?
John, it's an absolute pleasure to be back. Thank you for inviting me, and actually, thank you, Darren, for getting me onto this again.
Yeah, well, you would have come on anyway, mate. But yeah, he bloody better be watching. That's all I'm saying. He better be watching because there's one person watching it at the minute, apparently. So you better be watching. As always, guys, this live stream is sponsored by the channel sponsor 3retro.com. Please click the link in the description below. That will take you directly through to the West Ham section of their website, guys. You know the spirit. I've been saying it since May. But any purchases that you guys make through the link in the description below, the commission that the channel would normally get will be going to Isla's fight. In actual fact, I'm kind of thinking under these circumstances, the commissions will go to a different charity. Given these circumstances, what everything's going on, so I'm going to try and figure out some way to do it. But I don't know. I haven't contacted the sponsor for a good few weeks, for obvious reasons. So I don't know if we haven't had any purchases because they only tell me when I ask them, which is normal for most sponsors. So yeah, if whatever, I will try and figure out something else, maybe to help some way to get over to the NHS because we need some real help. They're working beyond belief at the moment to try and get everybody well. But AJ, while we're talking about the elephant in the planet, it's not really in the room, really. It's in the entire world. How is the coronavirus affecting you and in Wellington, and how is New Zealand in general dealing with it?
Well, where to even start? We have 66 cases confirmed as of 11 o'clock yesterday morning. Of those cases, there's about 9-ish in Wellington region itself, which is where I am. It's rough, man. It really is. So I work on the local rail network. There's a good chance that I could be pulled off the trains very, very soon because of this thing. At the moment, we've taken all the cash off our trains because we're trying to prevent the spread of the virus. So yeah, but basically what we're doing is just following the Ministry of Health and just trying to do our part to prevent this from getting any worse. So.
Yeah, nice, and that's exactly what we're supposed to be doing here as well, for that matter. And as I said many times, and I'll keep saying it until we stop seeing this on the news, is that we all need to stand together, stop panicking. The supermarkets are still going to be open, so are the pharmacies. So there's no need to panic buy toilet roll. It's not helping anyone. It's not helping anyone from doing it. There's no need to panic buy. They were saying on the government broadcast a couple of days ago. When was it? Friday, I think it was. Thursday or Friday, one of the two. That over the last 3 weeks, they estimate an extra in those three weeks alone. They estimate £1 billion worth of shopping is in people's houses, and yet we are still seeing people queuing up around the block to get into a supermarket. Just think, people, just think. Be there for each other. Stop being so selfish. The food is going to be there no matter what. Supermarkets have to take on extra staff, which is great news because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be out of work temporarily or permanently because of what's going on at the moment. And and likewise, that's the whole point. We need to be making sure that we're all doing stuff for each other. But I say there is no point going to the supermarkets and buying 3 months worth of food because everything is still going to be there. It's still there. it's just ridiculous. People need to calm down. But the funny thing is about from seeing it is I don't know what the supermarkets are like over your way, mate. But people, there are certain places in the country that are that Corona beer isn't being sold.
Well, I can't say for certain because I haven't done my fortnightly shop yet. That'll be on Wednesday. But the supermarkets here, yeah, they're much of the same as what you're seeing in the likes of Tesco's and Walmart over in the States. Pretty much anywhere and everywhere. We have designated shopping hours for the elderly. They've got their own shopping aisle in some parts of the country. So for the most part, we are handling it quite nicely. But at the same time, yeah, loo roll for a virus. I mean, are you kidding? You don't need to be going out and buying a year's supply of bog roll just for a virus sort of thing, you know.
I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of houses, I'm not saying a lot of houses, but a lot of places will have a shower. If your arse is that dirty, have a shower, clean it after you've gone to the bog. Just after you've taken a dump, go in the shower. It's not that stupid. It's not that difficult to think about it. But anyway, so getting on to the subject we ideally should be talking about. Southampton.
What a game. Absolutely fantastic. Southampton once again faltering to West Ham United. It's the stuff dreams are made of. They were shit on the pitch, mind my language. They're a tin pot club. I can't stand them. I don't know why. Just like Robert Banks, I have an irrational fear. And my irrational hatred. And my irrational hatred is Southampton. I mean, it's enough to make your skin crawl, but that game, absolutely fantastic. Bowen, 15 minutes, fantastic. Absolutely beautiful goal. Seeing the front three of Haller, Bowen, and Antonio, that is a decent partnership. Yes, Obafemi scored. It was a dodgy goal.
Mate, don't get me started on the positioning. Honestly, it was ridiculous.
But what a solid effort, and it was well deserved, especially after that Liverpool game. Because let's be honest, that Liverpool game the week before, I don't know about you, but we were definitely playing like the better team. It was just a shame we couldn't put it into 3 really important points that would have done us some justice. So.
Yeah, and we would have made the headlines for the right reasons for a change, that we would have been the first team to beat Liverpool. But unfortunately, mate, Ryan Sessegnon and Mikel Antonio's live London derby on Friday night proves.
No, do not go down that road, John. No.
One shot on target yet, Mike. He had the entire game, one shot on target. So the West Ham tactics coming out in FIFA as well.
Hang on a second, does that mean the next home game that once all this coronavirus thing is gone, we can call him a full kit wanker for dressing up in a Spurs shirt?
If he does it, I mean, I haven't been keeping an eye on his accounts, but if he does it, yeah, all hell's going to break loose. But a lot of people have said, and quite rightly so, that Sessegnon should give him a suggestion of what charity he should donate money to as a forfeit for it. And I don't think they will, but at the same point, it's quite good to see that those two are good mates and they were doing this stuff together. So it's cool from that side of things. But what I wanted to say to you about Southampton, apart from that little rant, I love watching you do it. Cool. I still go back and watch every now and again your rant about them in the summer with you, me, and Baz. That was hysterical. That was.
You're a sick puppy, but that's why I keep you around.
Well, actually, the other way around, mate. I should have dumped you fucking years ago. But
I'm hurt.
but seriously though, Southampton's owner has come out saying that he thinks there's a very, very good chance that games will be coming up again, being played behind closed doors before the lockdown is lifted. What do you think about what you said on that? Taking your hatred out of the club for the equation, just thinking about it and just in general.
Well, not really any need to take the hatred away from it, because there needs to be hatred there to begin with. But look, he's talked sense. He really has, because of the fact that we need this season to come to an end. I mean, look at Liverpool, for instance. They have done the hard yards already. For them, their season's all but over. They've got the league title all but wrapped up. They just need, 6 points? And the next 2 games for them, they should be able to get that. Fair play to Norwich, coming back into the Premier League this season. Unfortunately for them, they are caught in a crossroads because they're too good for the Championship, but they're too poor for the Premier League. If only there was a bridge in between, I think that's where Norwich would be playing. But look, we've got to finish the season. We absolutely have to. 9 games to go between now and the end of this season. We have to do it. We have to finish it. If it's behind closed doors, it's behind closed doors. Sweet, not a problem. The other thing that I want to mention is the Brighton boss and his suggestion. I don't know if you caught that, but he suggested West Brom and Leeds coming up for next season. Obviously give Liverpool the title, but nobody goes down. So that would mean Norwich, Villa, and Bournemouth, I think it is, would stay in the Premier League, expand it to 22 teams. You have 4 teams that go down next season, sort of thing. And, I like the idea of that. But at the same time, if there is even a remote chance we can finish this season, we have to do it.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, the Telegraph reporting this morning that the Premier League is scheduling a tentative plan for games to start after the 1st of June, allowing the season to be finished within 6 weeks, and for the 2020 to 21 season to campaign to begin on the 8th of August. So if that's the case, then that's potentially that's pretty much 2-3 games a week with a few weeks break, and then so there's basically going to be no summer transfer. The transfer window is not going to be long enough, because at the end of the day, it's going to start off with pretty much the if it starts from the August the 8th, if it does, then that's pretty much halfway through the summer transfer window anyway. So it's going to. I don't know. There's not enough, because I know normally it starts in the transfer window. Normally starts the end of June, beginning of July, depending on certain things, and then it concludes the start of September. But that's what I'm saying. It's going to be. I mean, whatever happens, the transfer window is going to have to be short. It's going to have to be short no matter what. Whenever the football starts up between and ends between the 2 seasons.
Well, I heard a rumor. This is going back probably January, that they were going to be cancelling, they were going to be allowing the Premier League to start while the summer transfer window was open. So, and that ends beginning of September?
Yeah.
Offhand. So, even if we're still playing football in June, we've got July and August, so that's 2 months, as opposed to a month and a half to do our transfer business. So,
but as I said, I know what you mean, mate. But as I said, they're looking to start the season on the 8th of August. To start the next season on the 8th of August. So it doesn't leave much time. Yeah, it will. No. I mean, at the end of the day, whatever happens, mate, it's gonna annoy people no matter what, because you can't please everybody, especially on sorting that sort of stuff out. Because there's a lot of we all think that it's literally a case of it's only Sky and BT involved in screwing the television up. It's not under any circumstances. There's a lot more logistics than that, because obviously, as you'll know yourself, mate. Channel, it's not just BT and Sky that have access to the football in this country. No. They are the only 2 platforms that are allowed to legally broadcast it, but there's loads of channels all over the world as we all know, that have access to that. So we don't really negotiate with BT and Sky. We negotiate with the company that actually broadcasts the football, and BT and Sky negotiate with them and then via the clubs at the same point with their proposals on moving games and whatnot. But my issue, and I completely 100% agree with Don when we talked about it last Saturday, was that we've had pretty much half the season moved for TV deals now. It's getting stupid, and I really hope that we have some perspective from this, to actually realise that how much people, because let's face it, yeah, if football never comes back for until the end of the good possibility for the end of the year, bearing in mind that the government is saying that they're kind of expecting it for at least the next half of the year for this social isolation to keep going, then it's gonna be absolutely it's gonna screw a lot of people up. Who's gonna, at the end of the day, who's gonna have the money to get a season ticket if we're all working from home for the majority of the year? No one's going to have it, because as we were talking before we went live, mate, the company that I work for is public based. We've got because we deal with the company that I work for. We organise training events, conferences, courses, blah 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 blah. If all those get sold, so all those get cancelled, and we get all the debt that those companies owe us that they haven't paid for. Once all that's paid for, I'm out of a job. Everybody else is out of a job unless we can start getting more courses on again. Now, maybe the company may adapt to it and sell online courses for, I don't know, half the price or a third of the price, whatever. That could happen. I mean, obviously, nothing's been talked about yet because that's months off. And as we all know, companies like to leave things to the last minute. But at the end of the day, guys, this is, if we are going to be, if the rumors are true that the experts are saying that it's a good possibility. Now, as I say, and that's why I'm saying it's rumor, because nobody actually knows at this point. It's just not news. It's rumor. It's conjecture. However way you want to look at it. If it is going to last the length of time that people are saying, I can't see us recovering from this as a nation. No. Because there's going to be so many unemployed people. There's going to be so many people without housing if it goes on this long. Because there's always going to be those private renters, those landlords that are going to say, "I don't give a fuck. You're out. I can get someone in who can afford to pay it." And it's just, and that worries me. That really worries me. The long-term effects. And this is what I was saying to Charlie yesterday. This is going to get a hell of a lot worse than it already is.
Well, you're absolutely right. It is, and it's something that I've been saying for the last couple of days is there is no way in hell this is going to get any easier for quite some time. It's going to get a hell of a lot worse. We're going to see people, unfortunately, suffering quite a bit. I mean, at the end of the day, if it takes a couple of weeks, well, if it takes a couple of months to get back to normal, then it takes a couple of months. But it's not going to be that.
It's not going to be that. I mean, the Premier League, as I say, saying that it's going to be suspended until at least the end of April, and now reading the fact that they're looking at June. It's not good. Rick, good morning, mate. I hope you're all right. And all good with you and your family. Same thing with you, Phil. Hello, mate. Good to see you. And West Ham cyber leader is Mohammed, if I remember correctly, because he's recently joined the friends list on Facebook, saying, "Good morning. I just woke up." What are you, 12? How can you be bloody waking up at when was it? Yeah, 11:15 on a Sunday morning. I mean, what are you, student? Honestly.
Well, for me, right. It is 20 minutes past 12 in the morning.
Yes,
so
I know, mate.
The things I do for you, mate, just goes to show how much love I've got for you.
That just shows how bored you've been the last couple of days.
Oh my God! Don't even get me started.
All right, so I want to get your thoughts on, because you touched on it a little bit earlier as well. Noble's U-turn on on playing behind closed doors, because he was originally well against it, and now all of a sudden he seems to be well up for it. And what are your thoughts on that?
He's West Ham through and through, but I have to question whether or not he is starting to become a bit of a mouthpiece for Gold, Sullivan and Brady. If you really think about it, he's starting up that rhetoric that we've all become accustomed to. Well,
Yeah.
If the end of the season is played behind closed doors, cool. The one thing I disagree with completely, and I think you're going to be in a similar situation as me, if you're going to create a live stream for these games, don't make it solely for your season ticket holders, because that is how you lose your fan base. You have to make it open for everyone, because me personally, I'd love to get up at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, have a cup of coffee, grab a bite to eat, come and watch some football, and then go back to sleep again. Now, how am I going to do that? I'm not a season ticket holder. I can't jump on a plane every weekend and go to London Stadium and watch West Ham play. I cannot afford that at all. I probably earn in the region of $15,000 to $20,000 a year at this present point in time, if that. And it's not possible. That is one big way to alienate your fan base. And yes, there are going to be guys out there that are going to put the not so legal streams up. Fair play to you, but at the same time, this is a real opportunity for the club to actually redeem themselves, make it open for everyone.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Given these circumstances, that 3 o'clock broadcast rule is going to have to be scrapped. It has to be scrapped. There's no other way of doing it. Darren, good evening, mate. Glad you finally joined us. Bearing in mind it was you that wanted AJ on here in the first place.
I'm glad he finally joined us. Bastard.
But yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you 100%, mate. It's just he's it's really difficult to justify both sides of this, because at the end of the day, yes, it all needs to be isolated, because our priorities, as is with Mark, that he needs to make sure that his priorities is that his family.
Yep.
Now his family's safe and well. Now we all know Noble's not short of a few quid. He's invested wisely in properties over the last few years, so he's worth quite a lot of money. He's on quite a very huge wage as well, for that matter. Not massive in comparison to others, but in terms of the people that he grew up with, he's on a huge amount of money every week. But at the same point, yes, he's bored. I reckon he's the same as the rest of us. He's bored and wants to go out and start doing his job again.
Well, you're not wrong there, because of the fact that this is something completely unprecedented. Now, we could sit here and blame China for it, but then we're no better than Donald Trump. This is this is quite the phenomenon. Nothing like this has happened in quite some time. Yes, we had measles. Yes, we had Ebola. Yes, we had swine flu and bird flu and
twice
diarrhea flu.
100 years ago, when the H1N1, which is basically the first encounter of bird flu, came into the world, we lost 400,000 people. 400,000 people died. Whereas when it came back in 11 years ago, it lasted a couple of months, because we had the vaccine to take care of it.
Yeah. And I mean, it would be good to be playing or to be watching football again, but I'm also of the belief that the health of everyone comes first. We
Absolutely.
cannot. I don't know about Gold and Sullivan and Brady. To be honest, I couldn't give a toss about what they thought. For me, if I'm the football fan going to the games, I should add, I'd want to know that everything was kosher before I walked through into the fishbowl. I really wish that, we could be talking West Ham right here, right now, about the inevitable loss or the surprising win. But, at the end of the day, health comes first. And I, for one, have to admit I would much prefer everyone be all right than not.
Exactly. Welcome, Neil, mate. It's good to see you as always. Hello from South Australia at 9:51 p.m. on Sunday night. As of midday tomorrow in Australia, pubs, clubs, cafes, and restaurants will all be closed Australia-wide. Thankfully, takeaways are still allowed, including bottle shops. Welcome to social distancing, folks. Yeah, we've been exactly the same from Friday night, Neil. Exactly the same in the UK. So knowing that Australia are in the same position makes me feel slightly better. But Darren will be able to back me up on this because we've had a bit of a conversation about it over the last few days. That the way that I was raised, and I'm hoping people of my generation, because it certainly doesn't seem like people under my generation were raised this way, of that spirit of the Blitz way of looking at things, that you literally just you get on with it, you adapt to your circumstances, you make sure that you make things last as long as possible, and that you just use your common sense. It's all well and good having the overabundance of what's the word, familiarity and ease of use that things are nowadays, but things are going to be difficult. Things are going to affect people in a many ways. Mental health being one. As I said, I'm struggling with working from home. I hate being in isolation. I've got no choice, and like thousands of others in London and everything else for that matter. But it will be interesting you will see the people that are overprivileged, who've had mummy and daddy doing everything for them. They will be the first ones to crack in this situation. And we're already pretty much seeing it already with the stupidity of people.
Just to add on to that, it's the people like you and me who are the real working class, where the ones that aren't afraid to do down and dirty and all that sort of thing. It's us that will get through this with the least amount of mental damage. Now, you and I and Private have had quite the conversation around mental health. How you know my bollocks. I won't go into details on this platform at this present point in time, but at this present point, I'm good to go. I can see this out, but it's your cream of the crop, the very posh who like to drink their cups of tea with a pinky up. It's those types that are just going to be going absolutely mental first. They're the ones that are going to crack.
Yeah. Where are we? So Darren is, as always, always look on the bright side of life.
I could
agree 100%, because that is a proper East End, like you're saying, working class way of looking at things. And as everybody knows that been following me on YouTube for the last 2.5 years, or for those who've been following the channel as WHU TV for 2 years, it is I hate classing, doing the social demographic of working class, middle class, blah 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 blah. But yeah, it was those that have basically had their parents being their slaves are the first ones that are going to cope, because people won't know how to do this. They can't think about how and do that. They just ignore things and think, oh, someone else is going to take care of it, because it winds me right up. Neil says, if anyone still thinks Olympics is still going ahead, tell them they're dreaming. Agreed, 100%. It was in the head of the UK Athletics says, planning to be put together now to find out what they're doing. And Neil also said the AFL lasted one round. It's suspended until the end of May before it is reassessed. So no more live sport in Australia either, as I can't see it restarting then either. And agreed, mate. Yeah, me and AJ were talking about it before we went live. This is the fact there's nothing to do. There is absolute, in terms of entertaining yourself. there's nothing to watch. There's without watching reruns of Only Fools and Horses. I mean, I'm quite enjoying watching Star Trek Picard at the minute. I'm really loving keeping up with that. But last night, as I say, up yours, mate. Last night I was watching.
I couldn't get into it. I'm sorry. I couldn't get into it.
That's fine. That's fine. You're a knob, but that's fine. But you know, it was.
Third knob to you.
I mean, I was watching. I'm not going to disagree. I was watching Dumb and Dumber again last night. I watched it a few months ago. I thought, right, it's time to watch it again. There's not much quality to watch nowadays because we've got a massive hole in our lives to try and plug, and it's just, and you know, as a single man, it's fucking impossible to try and get a date because you can't go out unless you go into the supermarket. And I'm sorry, but I'm not to sound too much like a ponce now, but
no, I'm not giving you a high five.
What are you doing, you dozy bollock?
Just read between the lines. You're talking about being single. And you also mentioned Dumb and Dumber. You realise that that's our biopic, eh? Because I'm dumb and you're dumber.
You bloody wish. It is actually the other way, right? But never mind. Because you're on the right-hand side. Not it just proves my point.
Well,
yeah, there we go. Yeah, see? But fair play to you, AJ. You know, you've had a year and a half of having your videos backwards, so it's understandable. But
oh, fucking hell.
Neil says there are still things called books. I've got heaps I've collected over the years, so maybe now it's time to start reading a few. I know what you mean, mate. I know, but the general populace, I love reading books as well. I've gone through quite a few over the last few months. But
comic books don't count.
Exactly, because they're not books. They're not even graphic novels either. Before anyone jumps in the live chat and says it, all four of you that are currently watching. But yeah, you know, we've got a massive hole to fill, and it's just very, very difficult. But one thing I was actually really surprised at reading this morning was that David Moyes is starting to lose patience with Lanzini, and is actually now starting to see what we're all seeing in Fornals. Why is it taking him this long to figure it out?
Because he's thicker than pig shit with cornstarch in it. Man, look, how many times have you and I sat here and had conversations like this? Fornals over Lanzini every single time. We needed him the last game, or the last season at the Bowlen, and the couple of seasons when we were really starting to sink our teeth into our new home. Look, being honest, I'd say sell Lanzini back to River Plate. I think his time here is done. Fornals is the new Lanzini. We're seeing it with, well, we really did see it against that Southampton side. We saw it against Arsenal. That kid knows how to play ball, and I'm blown away by him. He's putting the shift in, week out. He's working really well with the existing players that we have. And man, I don't know about you, but one of these days I can actually see him potentially wearing the armband. See, there's talk now of Ogbonna extending, because he's got a, I think from memory, it's a 2-year extension in his contract. Yeah. Now there's talk that he's going to activate that, which means that's our another player that will end his career with this club. And full credit to him too. He has been an absolute machine. Thomas Souček. It's been said that he could very well be the club captain after Mark Noble. Now, I know it's only a loan deal, but I'm hoping that we get him. He wants to be at this club. Look, how many players have we seen walk through our doors saying, oh yeah, look, I'm really happy to be here. This is a big club. It's a historic club. The only player at the moment who has said it, and I believed 100%, is Souček. Fornals, yes, absolutely. Anderson, when he joined last season, yes, absolutely. But this season alone, Fornell's Suchek.
Bowen's also said it.
Yeah, he's another one too. Come to think of it.
Now, I agree with you. I agree with you, mate. In terms of his prospects, when we're in relation to Souček, but we don't even have him yet. I love him. I was massively impressed with his when he made his debut. Absolutely impressed with him. I see why people are talking about it. I don't agree with it because it's way too early. He hasn't even had a full season with us yet. Not even, let alone half. But it's all well and good saying, yeah, I want to stay here, but mate, he may be playing for Celtic, for Czech Prava next season. We just have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. I mean, it's all because it's all dependent on his loan deal and what happens over the next few weeks and months, because there is a very good chance that the Czech Republic could go, actually, no, we're going to lift this ban now, and your football season is going to start X. Where we are in a situation where we're sitting there scratching our asses because we haven't got any idea.
Yeah,
I can't see it. I can't see it, but it's potential. It could potentially be that way. I'm very up for Souček to come on a long-term basis. I want to see him play for 2 seasons personally before I start making ideas about who's going to be captain for what. Which actually, funny enough, leads me on to the question I was going to ask you. Who is your captain next season?
Jesus. Well, Fabianski's worth a shout. He's that leader from the back. He can be that player that we need. You've also got to look at Ogbonna, for crying out loud. 100% Ogbonna. He's in there with a shout. It's Ogbonna. You can't help but love him. Chris, no. And this is quite controversial for me personally, because as much as I love the guy, I don't see him taking on that mantle full time. Yes, I agree. It's got to be someone at the back who will be able to lead from the back. But for me, there's only at this present point in time, there's only 2 players that are worthy of it. Lucas Fabianski, 100%, and Angelo Ogbonna, because we don't even know if Winston Reid is going to be able to get his testimonial. Now, he's a man who does deserve it, and if he doesn't, then I will be spewing a whole lot of flames at our fucking board, because look at what he's done for this club. But I don't see him here next season.
Well, neither do I, mate, just purely because of his injury record. More than anything else. Taking everything aside, I agree with 100%. But the main thing is the fact that if he can't play in his 10th season, we can't have him. It's as simple as that. I know it's very harsh opinion, but when we're fighting relegation every other season, we have to have players that we can rely on, especially at the back. I agree with Ogbonna. I agree that he's in the potential to be captain for next season. Don't think he's capable of it, because the same reason why I don't think Creswell's capable of it, because he needs to focus on his own game without trying to motivate other people. So that only, in my opinion, that leaves Fabianski. Yep, agreed. I would make him vice, 100%.
Yeah,
but in terms of somebody that's able to motivate players for 38 games plus cup games a season, it is still only noble for me, because I don't want to lamp the pressure on Rice, because it's too early for him. Although he said it was good that he wants to. It was good to see that he said it at some point he'd like to be captain. Yeah, of course, that's exactly what we want from players. But as I say, from a personal point of view, I don't think it's the right time for him. I think Snodgrass would be a good contender. He's always trying to get people sorted out. He was talking to Ngakia quite a lot, but again, he's not suitable to do it full time.
No.
When you because what you got to remember, mate, is you've got to take their football ability out of the equation. It's about how they communicate with others, and that brings the amount of people down very, very short.
See, I've got to look at Snodgrass's footballing ability for me purely to make this decision. Don't get me wrong, I see where you're coming from, but he can't even hold a place down in the starting 11.
That's the point.
How good is a captain when he's on the sidelines? We see it when Noble is rested on the bench, for crying out loud.
Mm. And that's exactly what I'm saying. There is nobody in Noble's absence that has the ability to motivate the players in the way that they can. It's great having a goalkeeper as a captain if you wish, because he's one of our best players. But how the hell is a goalkeeper going to be able to tell what the midfielders and the strikers have to do? Because they have to stay in their position. With everybody else out of the 10 in front of them can move around as much as they want. Goalkeeper can't, and that's why it's not a good idea to have it. I agree, but as I say, the more important thing is the leadership skills is more important than how well they play, and that brings it down massively.
Kasper Schmeichel,
because he's got better players in front of him, mate. I hate to say it, but Leicester have got better players, and therefore he's able to communicate to them more at half time than everything else, because Leicester's way of playing is more attacking than defending. We have to defend left, right, and centre, and
we do. Yes, I will. There's no point in denying that. But you say that how can Fabianski essentially talk to the midfielders and the strikers while the same way Kasper Schmeichel does at Leicester at the moment? Yes, okay, two different types of football, but at the same time, goalkeeper goes into the same dressing room as everyone else. So personally, I don't see that as being too much of an issue. Yes, if you've got to get important information to the midfielders and to the strikers, it could be a bit difficult, but in saying that, nothing's stopping them from going to the goalkeeper if the goalkeeper's yelling out, "Oi, get your ass down here."
But again, I agree with you 100% on it, mate. But we don't have players that have that low level of arrogance to actually go up and talk to the captain. That's the problem. And I also think the reason why Kasper Schmeichel has been suffering as a goalkeeper, because he's made some horrendous errors over a few times this season, is because he's focusing on everybody else instead of focusing on trying to save the. For example, what was the Leicester Burnley game, right?
Yeah,
just that he was all over the place. He was static for the majority of that game, because I honestly think that he was trying to make sure he was sorting everybody else out and wasn't concentrating on what he was doing. And this is why predominantly that's why you very, very rarely see in any football tier, for that matter, a captain who is a goalkeeper, because it needs somebody out so they can move around and can actually motivate people more than somebody that can only move for 16 yards in the football pitch.
Well, you know what the real reason is, eh? He's shit, and he knows he is. I've been sitting on that for quite a while.
I know, mate. I know, but I remember this was the thing that I've been thinking about for a good few years now, because I hate having a captain in defence, because again their mind switches off. They don't. As great as Lucas Neal was as a captain for the club, it was fantastic. But the thing is when he left to wherever he went to go, our own goal ratio dropped massively when Lucas Neal went, because he had a lot of own goals, especially in his last season with us. If I remember correctly, it was the season when we retired the number 6 permanently. And it was just, and I hated him for that, because of the amount of goals he conceded, literally himself.
Yeah, and granted that wasn't the best of times as a club anyway, because we were still reeling from the passing of a Titan. But personally, I can't stand own goals, I think they're the lowest of low in football. I know that mistakes happen, but it affects the players mentally. Shit, Diop scored an own goal. I mean, how many times have we seen that? Like
Yeah,
twice.
exactly. Yeah, but
Twice
this is
over
this
the
is
two
the thing. This
seasons.
is the thing. If Noble, right? If Noble conceded the same amount of own goals that Lucas Neal did. Now, okay, granted they are different positions, but even the same thing
Yeah.
with Diop. If either of those two conceded own goals in the ratio that Lucas Neal did, they would be absolutely blasted for it. Nobody seems to remember that with Lucas Neal. No one seems to remember that because the romanticism of all football fans after a few years is the fact that we forget all those sort of things and focus on all the good stuff, and that which is fine. But I just don't understand why Noble doesn't have that applied to him. I don't understand why people just will find any shape or anything to pick him up on.
I have a lot of respect for Noble. Okay, he's that academy graduate. He's the perfect child of this club, right? Absolute legend. Unfortunately, he didn't get his time in the England squad, but in saying that, that might have ruined him completely. He talks sense. He talks logic, but sometimes he's clouded between the club and the regime. And unfortunately, in the last couple of months or so, I'm seeing more regime than club captain, and it's a shame. It sucks, man. It really does suck because he has earned the right to be called a legend.
He does 100%, and legend is a word that's massively used, massively overused nowadays. Most people are legends rather than legends, but they are all. But yes, Noble is definitely. It's like with Mitchell, who was supposed to be coming on today, but we've had to rearrange it because he doesn't know what he's doing for his work at the minute. He put out a very, very good tweet last night. Saying that he doesn't understand the disrespect for Sofiane Feghouli when he was with us. Now
Come on.
Wait.
He was brilliant.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't understand it because a lot of people absolutely hated him, and he was one of the. I was impressed with Feghouli right from day one when he made his debut in the Europa League. When my seat wasn't even ready. I had to be in the what is now the Trevor Brooking Upper to watch that game because the half of the Bobby Moore wasn't ready in time. Which just fucking sums up West Ham all over the bloody place. But Feghouli made his debut as a sub appearance, if I remember correctly. This around about the second half. And he just he was brilliant. Put a load of effort in, and was just one of the best ever. And it was just I wanted him to stay. I wanted to stay. I really, really wanted him to stay because he was one of the better teams. He was one of the better players out of that team. And who was the leftover from it? Fucking Arthur Masuaku. I just don't understand the logic behind that at all. Because if you think about it, if we still had Feghouli now with his runs, with Anderson running down the left, with Fornals and Allaire up front, with Antonio up there as well, would have been an absolutely dynamic attack. It really, really would.
Stop it, John. Stop it. You're doing things that are not really safe for YouTube here. Come on now. I want to call a couple of people out in a group chat, Darren and Neil. Are we boring you talking about cockroaches as a pastime? Bloody hell, you two, eh? Fair. Small things entertain small minds. Yes, I know it takes a smaller mind to notice, but still. This is brilliant, eh?
Yeah, well, as I always say, we've got a very, very good community of people, and Neil and Darren have always had some entertaining conversations. And the guys yesterday, those that weren't trying in the conversation with Charlie, was again, it's just people talk. Ben Davis was asking us some brilliant questions, and it was just fun. It's brilliant how everybody's making each other laugh, and I'm guessing there's a funny Which comment are you laughing at there, mate? Because nothing's come up since yours.
Neil from Down Under. Well, what do you bet on in NZKHTV racing Kiwis?
There you go. Yeah, it's just popped up in this delay now. Yeah.
Bloody hell, beats racing kangaroos or koalas or whatever.
Wouldn't it be more of a wetter race? It'd be a wetter race, wouldn't it?
Apart from All Blacks, as they always win. Yeah, but see, I don't like rugby. I call me a plastic Kiwi or whatever, but I'm of that minority that absolutely cannot stand rugby, except potentially the Crusaders and the Super Rugby, because of the fact unofficially I am a Cantab. So, but no, me personally, I'm more into my motor racing, Formula One, Formula E, IndyCar, supercars, for crying out loud. I mean, oh my God, we could talk about this for days, but John doesn't have days, and quite frankly, neither do I.
All right, so going back to topic now, mate. Who is your hammer of the season so far?
Well, there's really only one player that stands out, and that is Angelo Ogbonna.
Agreed. So is he? Is he your hammer of the season, or is he just the one that you just think's the best out of the lot? Because they are two different questions.
Well, no, I think he is actually hammer of the season, because all you got to do is look at the performances, the shift he puts in, week out. He is that rock that we need now. When he really started settling in, of course, he went through that period of unease when he was shipping in goals left, right, and centre, and we were on his back. He's really making us eat our words now. And look, I love him. I absolutely love him. I gave him constructive criticism in the form of insults, yes, but at the same time, I did maintain the fact that he is going to get better with age. He's one of those defenders that, for some reason, is a super freak, for crying out loud, because of the fact that with age they get better, and he is getting a hell of a lot better the older he gets. I love him to bits. He's my hammer of the season. I would say Rice. I would say Noble. I would say Creswell at a stretch, but Ogbonna leads the pack by a country bloody mile, mate. I mean,
no, I agree. I mean, I agree on both sides of that. I mean, when Ogbonna, when do you remember when we were safe and Ogbonna went off to have his back surgery or whatever surgery it was, under Bilic. That was one of Ogbonna's best seasons with us. He was fantastic with us when we were at the Bowling, and he was fantastic for us up until he had that surgery. After that, he went on an absolutely shocking run for a season and a half. But most of last season and the majority of this season, right from day one, he's been. We didn't really notice it last season because of how well we were doing overall, but now that the goals are pretty much drying up again, especially this season, we actually realised how hard he was working. And for me, agreed. Rice is very, very close to a close second for Hammer of the Year, as far as I'm concerned. But overall, because more to do with the fact of how he reads the game, more to do with the fact that how his grit and his determination, and how much more how he seems to be getting more and more in love with his club in every shape or form. But yeah. He's had some shocking times, but everybody makes mistakes. He's not making as many mistakes as he did a couple of seasons ago. That's for sure. He's not making as many as then. So but as Rice is for the future, definitely. But Neil agrees absolutely with both of us, saying absolutely, Ogbonna is Hammer of the Year for sure. It's funny to say that because I've got a workmate of mine who's an Aussie, and he's not exactly tech savvy. And especially this week, I've been asking how he's getting on. He keeps saying his system's farked, so it's got to be an Aussie thing. Farked it's got to be an Aussie thing.
Oh, it's a Kiwi word too, so yeah.
An Antipodean word, then, shall we say?
Backwards, but yes. The other one the other reason why we didn't really see much of Ogbonna last season was because of the fact that Balbuena had come in and he was absolutely brilliant. Now, what the hell happened between the end of last season and beginning of this season? Because when you and I and Barry sat down, or Baz sat down, I said then this was going to be a season for Balbuena to remember because of the fact that he should have been able to build onto that, what he built last season. I'm kicking myself for even thinking that, because what the hell has gotten into him? He was called a general for a reason. Well, he's acting more like a private at this stage because he's performing better in private. But I'm sorry, I have to admit, I think we need to get rid of Balbuena in the summer. I don't like saying it because, you know, he's a decent player on his day, but
now, mate, it is a bit harsh to say that because he only had 5 games at the start of this season, and then he was dropped. So he hasn't had 2 full seasons yet. I know. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying, but I do. It is a harsh assessment, but I'm not. I can't disagree with you. That's the thing. Before we come on to the a few other bits on that, Neil's actually said, once this bloody computer shows it, Ngakia is recruit of the year too. Well, he's not really a recruit, Neil, but because he's been a youngster for the last year or so. But yes, in terms it's a promotion. Yeah, it's a promotion of the year, definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
Now, okay, AJ. So, who else do you think should leave when this season finishes?
Roberto, WHU, just like what Darren's basically said here. Roberto, I feel there was a bit too much pressure put on him, and look at where he is now. He's at Alaves. WHU, no, that was so wrong. That really was. Don't get me wrong, I like Jack. I think he's a good person, but he's like Andy Carroll. He's like Winston Reid. And, you know, I hate saying this sort of thing, man. I really do, because I think for me, these guys, they've been given an unfair treatment at the club because of the hand of cards that they've been dealt. WHU, good for Arsenal, great for Bournemouth, definitely suited to Eddie Howe down at Bournemouth, but he's not a West Ham. He's not your traditional West Ham player. So for me, if I'm getting rid of players, it's Roberto, it's WHU, it's gotta be Balbuena. I'll keep Diop. I really will keep him because I love the kid, and he is going to be a monster of a talent in about a year or so's time. So, yeah, I think 3 players, and those 3 in particular, I don't want to see Sebastian Haller gone because, unfortunately, he's not had the service. He does need to pull his head in, though. I don't want to see Suchek leave. I'd love for him to actually sign permanently because he's going to be a fantastic replacement for Noble when Noble eventually steps down and takes up the behind-the-scenes role. I would love to keep the likes of Fornells and Anderson a little bit longer. Anderson, I feel, gets a bit of an unfair stick. I've jumped on his back a couple of times.
Well, and when the player's not playing well, mate, it's within our. That's exactly what we've got to do.
And yes, so far this season he's had more bad days than good. But when he goes on a run, he goes on a run, and you know it. Look at Newcastle away. Last season, Chich scored 2, and he finished it off with the 3rd. And what a clinical 3rd it was! Look at Manchester United. At home in that 3-1 win last season. He was brilliant. 5 minutes. That's all it took, and it was through him.
Well, mate, you know as well as I do, if we played badly, especially like for example Spurs at the start of the season. Actually, it was weird doing that because just as I did that, you had your swig, so it looked like I was passing you the drink. I'd have my hand through like that, because
oh yeah, I've just seen it come up because I've got my TV here and you here. And, yeah.
It's like, woo!
But yeah,
I honestly think that I've maintained this. I've maintained this right from the start. Anderson plays his best football when he's out on the right, not when he's out on the left. Is a lot of his runs are absolutely superb, and most of them come from when he's on the right hand side. And Darren is starting to turn into a bit of a troll. He really is starting to. I know he's having a bit of a laugh, and I can understand why Ben was getting a bit pissed off with him yesterday. But but Darren, come on, man, seriously. Roberto and Will, players of the season, do me a break, mate. Come on, I know you're self quarantined, mate, but seriously.
This is why I love this guy. He is brilliant.
Let's answer Darren's trolling question. How much would you take for Diop?
Okay, I've got to ask this in response.
No. Answer it. No, you can't answer a question with a question. Come on, answer it.
All right, then. Anywhere between 80 to 100.
Okay.
And I'm not taking the piss either. This kid is talented. I mean, how the hell we even got him in the first place, I still don't fucking know. But
one of Sullivan's better ideas.
And I hate the little Hobbit as much as you do, mate. But let's be real, that's one of his crowning glories, bringing Issa Diop to West Ham United. Now, not many people banked on him being as good when we first heard of him, but holy shit, no, easy 180 at the least.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's the hands-off price tag. This is what I've been saying for donkey's years, is the fact that what you have to realize is the fact that when players are put on ridiculous prices, it's because, like, for example, when Torres went to Chelsea from Liverpool, he was playing some of the worst football we'd ever seen him play. And in those days, how long ago is it now? 12, 13 years ago, give or take. Or it was something like that. It was a long time. I mean, I'd probably say it was. I think we still had Dad at that point. So it's easily a decade. And
that was 06?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
sounds about right.
That's about 14 odd years.
Yeah. The reason why he went to Chelsea for £50 million on deadline day was because Liverpool didn't want to sell him for anything less, and therefore it was a hands-off price tag. And because Liverpool was so desperate, they bought in Andy Carroll, and the rest is history. But this is the thing. When like Van Dijk, £75 million transfer, Southampton didn't want to get rid of him, so they put a ridiculous price tag on him. But Liverpool still paid it because they were that stupid. In hindsight, of course, it was a shrewd deal because Van Dijk is a fantastic player. Harry Maguire, on the other hand, that again was a hands-off price tag, and again, Man United were too stupid. Was stupid enough to pay it. So I thought, right, if you're that stupid, let's have said, right, fine, have him, take him. And
Neymar to PSG.
Yeah, well, that's more of a tax dodge, mate, more than anything else. Same with when we bought and sold Pai back to the same club within 18 months. It was a tax dodge, massively tax dodge. Regardless of his personal circumstances, it was a tax dodge. It's got it written all over it.
Well, then look at Ronaldo from Madrid to Juve.
Yeah. Again, because you put high prices on your best players because you don't want to get rid of them. It's as simple as that. And on one of these days, I'm hoping Sky Sports and BT and the BBC, for that matter, the sports section, realise that.
And just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just like, well, yeah, when they're saying, when the Harry Maguire transfer went through, everyone was saying, oh, he's not worth it. So, of course, he's not fucking worth it. They didn't want to get rid of him. How do they not realise this? I mean, I don't know if you've seen this, mate, but Match of the Day is back on now, and they're basically doing. It's still with Lineker, Shearer, and I think Ian Wright was on last night. They're basically doing a podcast live on telly. And I do not see the point. I understand it because they've got their contracts to adhere to and all that sort of stuff. But honestly, I was watching them. I was watching Dumb and Dumber last night. I thought, right, I don't want this. I'm not interested. I'm not. They don't really make much sense for. I can't really say that. Lineker just brown noses the entire time. I've got a lot of time for Alan Shearer. I've always loved him as a player and as a bloke. He's really switched on for a lot of things. I love his how analytical he is. He should be back playing. He should be back as a manager. He really should be back as a manager. He gets things spot on. Ian Wright, I love as well. He's entertaining on that program. He doesn't always talk sense, but he never played with much sense either, for that matter. But I absolutely love him. I think he's
not when he was with us.
Well, he was in the twilight of his years, shall we say, as a footballer. But he still had his moments. He still scored some good goals for us. But as I say, I love Ian Wright for just this the comedic element of him. He's brilliant. He's a ball of light, that bloke. He really is. He's an absolute he is an absolute treasure when it comes to a lot of things. But again, he knows what he's talking about, but at the same point, a lot of the things he just doesn't make sense.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, yeah, I'm the exact same. Personally, Lineker drives me up the wall. Shearer, what's not to love about him? And yeah, Ian Wright's he's brilliant. He is. The amount of times I've tuned in to watch Match of the Day online, and it's been those three, and you see the banter between him and Shearer. God only knows how many times I've said it, but when I've been at my worst and I've been watching Match of the Day and just seeing those two, they've had me crying with laughter. I mean, I'm easily entertained anyway, because you just got to say some filthy things and that sets me off. But at the same time, those two were fantastic. They always work well together. And, they're like the Bonnie and Clyde of the football world.
Definitely, 100%, mate. And final thing before we wrap up. The Polish Princess is back again. Hello, Lena. Hope you're doing well, honey. Last thing before we wrap this up, because we've been wobbling on for more than an hour, and I know you've got to go to work soon, so we're trying to keep this as short as possible.
I don't need to go for another 12 hours.
Fair enough, mate. But anyway, the last point wanted to come on talk to you about was, I'm sure we're going to still prattle along for about 20 minutes like we normally do anyway, but I want to know your all-time 11 for West Ham. To start off, now there's you can stick to one or two parameters. You can stick with fantasy, i.e. from anybody, or you can stick with the lifetime that you've been watching West Ham. So either ways. But first of all, let's start off, as I say, with your goalkeeper.
Do you know what? For a world record goalkeeper, undisputed club legend, I have to go with Phil Parkes.
So you're going with the fantasy side. Okay, cool. Fair enough. Yep, I can't disagree with you. Yep. All right, so are you doing 4-4-2 or are you doing 4-5-1, 4-3-3?
Well, screw it. Let's go with a 4-3-3.
Okay, so who is your all-time right back?
All-time right back. Well, it's quite interesting because there's two that come to mind, and both of them are current players too. Got Ryan
Okay.
Fredericks and Jeremy Ngakia.
So no Glenn Johnson, for example. No Joey O'Brien.
No. No. Don't get me started on that little leprechaun. I loved him to bits. No, I'm going to go with Ngakia, to be honest.
Fair enough. So your centre backs?
Bobby Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel no West Ham 11 is complete without the greatest of all time. And beside him, I will be going with West Ham's vice captain, Winston Reid.
Okay.
But
compatriotism there, surely?
Yeah. And because of the fact that 15-16 campaign, he was beast. He was absolute beast mode.
And left back?
Left back.
Actually, you missed out on Lucas Neal in there for right back, mate. But I understand Ngakia.
Yep. Left back. That's really tough one. That really is a tough one because we've had some great left backs in the past, but
Lampard Lampard Senior for one. I absolutely love watching him those replays. Fantastic player.
Funny you mention that because Senior has that spot tied down.
So Lampard Senior over Dixie.
As much as I hate to say it, yeah.
Fair enough. No, it's your opinion, mate. So your right winger. Who's your right winger?
Right
winger. Right midfield, I should say.
Well, at this present point in time, it can only be one Mr. Mikhail Antonio.
But out of all time. Doesn't have to be just these.
Yeah, no, I understand the rules here. This is my 11, okay?
You said at this present moment in time.
Yes, because
at
this present point in time, I feel Antonio is deserving of it.
So you wouldn't put him as right
park, though. It's quite different.
You wouldn't put him as right forward. You put him as right mid. Okay. So centre mid.
Yep. This is where shit gets really tough because I can say. You're an asshole.
Hey,
so Trevor Brooking.
You said 4-3-3. Don't turn this on me. This is what you wanted to do.
So Trevor Brooking.
All right. Yeah. Left mid. Got a funny feeling you're going to choose what Darren said, but go
on. Not really. No. To actually blow expectations, and it's potentially a bit left field, no pun intended, but Dimitri Payet.
Fair enough. So right attacking.
He did us dirty, and what he did, I can't forgive, but I'm going to go with Marko Arnautovic. He was brilliant. There's no denying it. He was absolutely sensational for us when he played right.
Centre attacker? Or centre forward, I should say.
I'm resisting saying Simone fucking
I know
Butler.
I'm over there. I can see it. I'm just waiting for smoke to come out of that ear.
See, Darren's just put a good one, Hartson Kitson.
Yeah.
No, tell you what, striker-wise, I will have to go with. Oh Jesus! I had the guy's name on the tip of my tongue too.
Ashton?
No, but he makes it. He's out on the left, and I know I'm playing him out of position. But no, Ricardo Vazte.
I say that, yeah. That's not a bad combination. And then Ashton out on the left. But wouldn't you have more Ashton in the middle and Vazte out on the left? Because left was very good for Vazte.
It was, yes, but at the same time,
taking the playoff final out of the equation here, mate.
I'm not. They can always swap.
True.
See, essentially, you know, you bring in.
Well, actually, no, it's not true because Ashton couldn't really play out on either left or the right. He was always up from the middle or tacking around the net from the middle.
Yeah. Fucking Alan did.
Yeah, Nils smashed it.
You know, it's times like these I really fucking hate you because you've thrown me under the bus. It is 1:15 in the morning. You've thrown me under the bus.
Don't even try with the excuses, mate. Don't even try it.
There you are getting it.
Now, what was it I was watching? Oh yeah, as the geezer says in the In-Betweeners. Well, here's one for you, and here's another.
Coronavirus, yeah, mate, had it 5 times.
Yes, probably would actually. To be fair, yeah. If Neil came, Neil came, was not Neil, was it? It was whatever his name is. Yeah, came back.
Jay.
Yeah, Jay. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
AJ,
yeah. Well, apparently,
AJ. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, apparently he had a friend here at West Ham on trial.
Yeah, the under 16s. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that show gets me every time, eh? Far up. But yeah, anyway.
Really funny.
I really do need to start winding up because I need to get my beauty sleep. Otherwise, I'm going to be an ogre again tomorrow.
Yeah, there's not enough time in the world for that, I'm afraid, mate. But in the meantime, guys, very much for all of those that are watching. Unfortunately, we didn't hit double digits like we normally do, but I'm guessing because it's not normal. It's not content it's not FIFA content or anything else. It's two mates having a conversation, which has been good. It's always been good to talk to you, mate, as always. And guys, Neil, Darren, Lena, and who else was in there? Rick as well, and Phil. Thank you, and of course West Ham cyber leader, aka Mohammed. Thank you very much for watching, guys. It's been absolutely brilliant to talk to you all, as always. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, I should say, and AJ, enjoy the rest of the start of your week, mate. And
yep,
everybody take care of themselves, stand together, and I will see you guys very, very soon. All the best now.
Thanks,
take care.